All right. Excuse me. Welcome, everyone. You guys should be able to see me. Just trying to wait for the stream to go through. There we are. Cool. All right. So, sorry that took a second. Matthias, Evil Charisse. Oh, hello. Let's turn on this music a little bit. Turn it down. All right. Took a second for the stream to grab hold. It's fine. It's technology. But here we are. Hello, Herr from Austria. Hello from Venezuela. EDM Wolf. What's up, guys? Hopefully the music isn't too loud. I'm turning it down a lot more because it's really loud in my ear. And thank you, Peter. I hope you like my hair. And let's adjust this mic as well. All right, let's dive into this. I want to, excuse me. I want to talk about Daniel. Good to see you. I want to talk about Photoshop magic for mere mortals. By the way, I'm a mere mortal as well, but I want to show you how you can really look like a pro with the, with the best of them. Okay, so there might be a little bit of a delay in my syncing, but that's okay. We'll get this party started anyway. Isaac, calm down on the bras there, buddy. All right, Eddie, we're going to go ahead and get started. Excuse me. Yes, David, I'm a mere mortal as well. But I want to dive into this again. This is Photoshop quick tips and things that you can do right away for immediate results. And that's the goals. Like, dive into this, see what you can do for immediate results, okay? So let's talk about, quite frankly, one of the most popular tools in Photoshop actually is the text tool. And typography is a big deal, as you may or may not know, of course. But a lot of people use, of course, do compositions in Photoshop. Hello, Germany in the house. All right, so what I want to show you is, like, when it comes to finding fonts and syncing fonts, you guys might know how to do that, of course, with good old Typekit right here. Of course, I can jump out and grab fonts from Typekit. That's not that big of a deal. I could sort through them, or I can find similar fonts just like that by clicking there. I can find different fonts, things like that. That's cool. I want to go beyond that because actually what I want to do is I want to find out what this font is, the Saloon font. What font is that, okay? So I'm just drawing a selection box around it. I can go up to type and I can say, hey, you know what? Just match that font. Figure out what font that is. And what happens is it will load up, excuse me, all fonts that are similar to the ones that I have on my desktop, that is, and then the ones available on Typekit. So you can actually see this HWT American Shop Worn. I can actually sync that right now. Okay, and now I have that font, the same font that was used on that Saloon sign, okay? My favorite font, I'm going to tell you my favorite font in my, excuse me. My favorite font is the Lust Script Pro, actually, and I'll show you that in a second. So again, HWT American Shop Worn is done. Boom. When it comes to your favorite fonts, okay, as I dive into this, you can see Lust is my favorite font right up here, but you can start to favorite your own, your fonts, and then you can quickly just jump to your favorites right here, okay? So you figured out the font that you want, right? And now I can start using that font as part of my project, okay? And I might not use the Saloon font, but what I want to do is I want to select this Denali text right here, and let's just kind of move this over a little bit. And I could rifle through all the different versions, right? Just rolling over all these different fonts. Like I said, I like Lust Script. I could also just type in script, by the way, to give me all the script fonts, because that's what I want in this case, is a pretty script font. Like I said, Lust Script Display is my current favorite font. This is kind of some of the magic behind this. Sergey and Omar and Andre, hello there, Anna. So this is some of the magic behind it, because what I want to do is I actually want to, make this look a little bit more elegant. Like, in fact, if I select any letter, okay, any character, there are actually alternate glyphs for this font. And people might not realize that there are alternate glyphs for fonts depending on the font, especially for script fonts. Because basically I'm saying, hey, you know what? make this look super pretty, right? So I'm going to select this alternate N, boom, little, man, I forget what you call these. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, gosh, drawing a blank on what that's called right now. But you could add all these little fun little curls and things because I'm accessing those alternate fonts and alternate suggestions right in here for that A. Bop, there it is. I can also open up the Glyphs panel, and whether you know it or not, glyphs are actually in, we have a Glyphs panel now in Photoshop, and I can sort of rifle through all the alternates for this selection, or the alternates, actually every character for this entire font. Okay, so I encourage you to, of course, use this Glyphs. Of course, it's in other apps. It's in Illustrator. You guys get the idea. Hello from Turkey, Ulas. Turkey, what's up? Going through some stuff over there. Yes, so we did, Jesse, we just gave it a swash. We just made it fancy, Anna. Well, didn't we just made it fancy, huh? We just made it fancy. That's what we did. Okay, and that's why I like it. It's like a pretty font. Yes, Photoshop is amazing, by the way. You know, this graphic I actually pulled just from Adobe stock. Not a big deal. Let's take it a step further, by the way, okay? And I want to know your favorite, like, Photoshop magic tricks. So feel free to post those to the chat because I want to see. Okay, I'm going to dive into, again, just this other example. Still using that same font, okay? That looks pretty good. I love typography as well. Thank you for bringing that up. But what I'm going to do is I want actually this font to appear behind him but in front of the background. Okay, because as you probably know, you don't actually need to see the whole word to recognize what word it is. Okay, as long as you don't cover up the first and last one, you're good. Okay, cool. 5 minutes made in 30 seconds. We're going fast because this is being recorded. Okay, so check this out. I love this, okay, because I'm thinking, okay, in order to do this, what do we need to do, guys? I might even just turn down this music altogether because it's so loud in my ears. Simon, what's up, buddy? Yeah, that's right. So this is what we want to do, is we want to be able to create a little sandwich, okay? We need to create basically 2 layers, right over here, 2 layers of this guy, and in between those 2 layers, that's where we're going to have the font. And on the top layer is going to be the guy, on the background, the bottom layer is going to be the background, okay? So that's what we need to do. So this is what I'm going to do, is just selecting that layer. I'm going to go up to select, and I'm going to select focus area. You could see it right there, okay? Oops, let's move that over. Focus area. That's what I'm selecting. Focus area. Okay. Selecting it. No hands mode, by the way. I haven't touched anything, right? It actually selects the area in focus. So it gives me that in focus range, and I can actually kind of see even by turning this overlay on and off or whatever, you can kind of start to see what it's potentially will look like. I can adjust this further, but this is what I want to do. I won't even go beyond that because look right here, guys. Boop. Horrible spot on the beard. So what do I want to do there? I want to go over here to select and mask. Okay. Boom. Selecting that. Now we can dive into select and mask using this magic key. I know this is kind of multiple steps to this one, but right over here that says refine edge, my refine edge brush right up there. That's the one I'm going to use. With that selected, again, I don't even have to be that eloquent or exact with this selection. As I've selected over his beard, I'll minimize the size of the brush, but I can sort of select different parts, and I can even adjust the overall selection area. Okay, because if I want to choke up on this some more or shift the edge, let's actually see. Let's do onion skinning, right? So you can start to see transparency. But I can even shift the edge if I want to and bring the edge in. So it's actually going to kind of come in on that guy a little more is what's happening right there. Kind of dives into his neck. But anyways, that's all I want to do, guys. Maybe I'll shift it a little bit. Decontaminate layers is probably in there. I'm just going to click OK, right? It creates that sandwich. I won't worry about that layer. But it creates those 2 layers. Now I have him separated out, right? With that magical beard, because now I can take that text, Denali National Park, and make sure that's behind him, and it looks good. See? Look how it grabs those hairs and actually makes it look all fun and pretty and all that good stuff. Cool? I'm going to do this once more. It does feel like magic. Let's do this grizzly bear as well. Okay, still, same thing that I want to do. And this is what you need to know is like when you need to select something based on the focus area, that's all you need to do. You know, no hands mode, right? It goes through, it's set to auto, a boom, right? We could use select and mask if we want to. Again, just kind of going over some of those parts of his little like whiskers right up here. Ooh, that does not even look that good. But I could just start going over sort of parts of the fur, and it will actually grab or remove that background from parts of his fur. All right, and I can still shift the edge if I want to some more. Okay, just click OK. You guys get the idea. There's our fun bear. He's separated out. Oops. Now, instead of having this logo in front, I can put it behind, right? And I can even do a cool technique like maybe having half of it in front and half of it behind. So here, just diving in, like that. Okay? Is that cool? Brown bear looks scary. Thank you, Paul. It is magic. Amazing. Thank you, Evil Charisse. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. So again, super easy to do, and I have all the controls that I expect. Okay, easy enough. Let's go a little bit beyond this as well. Okay, so as we're starting to refine this layout, I'm not even crazy about the colors, okay? Because what happens is we have his shirt and it's like a shade off from the background. And I think if there's a way to tie in the colors of this image, it's gonna work better as a composition. So that's what I wanna do right now is I'm saying, hey, you know what? Let's go up here. Let's dive into, rather than dealing with all of these crazy, you know, adjustment layers, vibrance, brightness, contrast, color balance, like tweaking this by adding multiple adjustment layers, what I can actually try and I encourage you to do is go down to color lookup. So color lookup table. Okay, so what this is this actually comes from the video world. It enabled you to make sure your footage looked consistent across, honestly, all software-like packages and everything, okay? So it's an independent sort of color correction file, if you will. Okay, but now we have them available in Photoshop, which is great. So I can select that and go into the properties for it, as you can see off to the side. I'll zoom in on that real fast. Let's just try some of these. Let's do a 3-strip look. Okay, that changed it a little bit. Let me jump into crisp warm. Okay, but this is what I do. This crisp warm already looks pretty darn good. I like this a lot. I can get into more of a winter look, right? And the cool thing is it starts to, you know, tie in the, you know, all the colors of the photo and just actually just makes it look really good. Fall colors. Let's get into futuristic bleak. Is that what that says? That sounds like a horrible idea. I go for futuristic optimistic. That's my motto, right? So moonlight, you have horror blue, right? Boom. And that's actually not bad. I actually like it. It obviously makes it look a little colder. I'll get into teal orange. This is actually what I want to go with is this teal and orange. Done and done, right? It makes it look good. It's just imagine if you're compiling a bunch of adjustment layers to make something look good, that's what color lookup does. If you're curious about making color lookup tables, you could do that. And what that means is creating those adjustment layers, and then you can save. I'd have to take a look at where it's at, but basically you save out, if you have a file that has multiple adjustment layers, you could save that out as a LUT or lookup table, right? I find that easy, done and done. I like that. You know, I can maybe apply it to the same grizzly bear one. Maybe that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good too. Let's do one more quick adjustment, right? So this is huge, okay? Check this out. This is awesome. You ready for this? Are you ready? It does make his beard stand out, and a good point. Okay, so for this one, really fast, diving into, oh, sorry, you can't see this. I gotta move this up somehow. Let's do this. Let's pull this out, actually. Okay, so another way to apply sort of a color cast or multiple color casts onto a photo is by going into adding a new adjustment layer. And this time I'm going to go down to gradient map. Okay, so you guys aware of gradient map? Some of you maybe are, some of you aren't. But gradient map, I'm saying, hey, take the colors in this photo and map them to the colors within this gradient. The gradient is currently black and white, okay? And you're already kind of like bored with it. I get it, right? And what I've done is I've actually loaded up, let me pull this out. Sorry for it being so crowded. Pull this out. My gradient maps right here. What I've done is I've actually added, click right here, click right here. I've added some photographic toning, okay? So this is saying, hey, you know, wherever it's at in the sort of black to white scale, remap those colors according to this gradient. So photographic toning, that's what I've added, by the way. That's going to give you, because again, I want you to know that you're not going to have all these. That's where they're going to come from. The interesting ones are going to be combos of 3 colors. So right here, I have gold and copper, okay? What about a gold and blue? Okay, so this gold and blue looks really good, and I think I'm going to go with it. Cool? Cool. Move stuff back. Boom. And keep in mind, if I just adjust the opacity, I might be able to just get a nice cast of that and make it look kind of interesting. All right, next up. So hopefully that, yes, so the Epinards, you mentioned the effect is a bit much, and that's why I actually, good call, we're on the same page, because I was like, yeah, I need to scale that down some. You're exactly right. But yes, you have that going for you, and we can do this 1,000 different ways. Okay, so where is it on the menu? Just to recap how you're going to get to that, it's going to be adding a gradient map right here, okay, by going to adding a layer, adding a gradient map layer. Once that's added in your properties panel, it's just a matter of selecting the gradient that you want, and then it will map those colors. Okay, so since we're talking Photoshop magic, real fast, I'm going to add another gradient map. No, actually, I'm not going to add a... Let's get rid of this. Sorry. Cancel. I'm going to add really fast just a gradient. Now, here's just a solid gradient, and I'm going to do this really fast, and it's going to start out really ugly. I get it. I agree. It's going to be super ugly. Let's get rid of this. This is how I want to do this. I'm going to add a solid color. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to take that down to 0 and double click on this layer. I'm just going to add a gradient overlay, okay? Because I had this one saved, and I'll just adjust the angle because we see these sort of gradients a lot, right? Okay, so I can add that sort of splash of color right in here and adjust it a little further as well because I freaking love pink. I'm going with pink and teal, right? Couldn't be more trendy, huh? Look at how trendy this is. Trendy, clicking OK. From there, I can start to change the different blend modes. So I can change this to overlay, for instance. And now, talk about just a horrible change in colors. You can see it happen right now, right in front of your eyes. Typically, I'd want to probably change that to more to a soft light. This is not the best photo for it, but you can see what I'm doing there. Cool, let's move on. Yeah, Simon, good thing this is being recorded, because if you are brushing your teeth right now, it is being recorded for you. So what have we done? We've added a color, basically a gradient on top of it that's set to soft light, and this is just a gradient map, and then we have color lookup tables. So that's 3 ways to affect your photo to get the results that you want. Is it too trendy though? I don't know. Hey man, it's peaking right now, so we should talk about trends. I'm totally into it. Okay, so we have an issue with this bear, by the way, because look what's happening is he's slobbering all over our logo. slobbering all over. So I want to talk about touching things up. And I'm actually going to switch over to this photo, okay? You ready for this? I'm going to switch over to this. Okay, excuse me, sorry. Omar, I'm glad you like the color. Thank you. Kathleen, hello. Okay, so now we're shifting gears, right? So that last one was a bear. Bad joke. For this one, I actually want to do some pixel manipulation, right? So we obviously, you know, again, this has happened to the best of us. I need to get rid of these blemishes. So in the general rule is like, if it's not going to be there in 2 weeks, you have the freedom to edit it out. I'm not going to remove any moles or anything distinguishing for this guy. And you know what? I actually don't want to use the rubber stamp or anything. I want to go beyond that. Again, this is Photoshop magic. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do one thing that's going to instantly make this look better. Okay, keep in mind that this is a smart object. Okay, we'll talk about smart objects later, but it's all protected and fine and dandy. I'm going to go up to Camera Raw Filter, because what I want to do for this photo, I'm saying, hey, you know what? Just make it look better, right? That's all I want to do. I just want to make it look better. So this is the easiest thing you can do. The easiest way to make a photo look magical and easy is right over here, this little button, just auto adjust all of these following parameters. So rather than adding all of these adjustment layers or even manipulate any of these controls, I can say just auto, boom, right? Just make it look better, boom. Finally, I can see that guy. He's coming out of the shadows, right? And that's the easiest thing you can do if you're going to do any sort of color correction on a photo if you want something done quickly. It does all of these adjustments for me. As you can see right over here, I'm like, hey, great, looking good. Let's dive into this. I love how he's pointing to the fact that he's, you know, he has blemishes. Like, look here. Let's fix that, because again, it happens to the best of us. Rather than using my rubber stamp or anything, I'm going to go to the spot removal tool, jumping in here, increasing the brush size by doing close bracket, a little bit larger. And I don't even need to do things in a circle. I could do any shape that I want, and it's automatically going to pick the area that it's patching from, okay? So I can move that over here and say, hey, you know what, pick from this area that's nice and clean, bop, and it does that. So I have this sort of control when it comes to the healing brush within Camera Raw, and I can turn off that overlay. You could see it better there. Okay, diving into this a little more, right? It picks from up there, that's great. I think that's a mole. I really don't know, guys. Here it's picking from clear over here. I'm saying that's fine. Maybe I want to go up here a little higher. But you guys get the idea. Also, J should just hide those. But you can see how that looks. He's already feeling much better, much more confident. Clicking OK. Guess what? Guess what I did? I did basically like a spot removal or rubber stamp without using the rubber stamp. It worked non-destructively, so I have not actually manipulated the actual pixels. I've applied this Camera Raw filter layer, okay? So if we take a look, if I turn that off, pop, before, and then after, wait for it. Boom. He just used proactive. This is like post-photo proactive. Proactive being the, like, blemish remover or whatever. Cool, guys? So I'm rifling through these. Again, having this non-destructive editing of individual pixels using Camera Raw, couldn't emphasize that enough. Let's go on. I have some more, so many things. So many fun things. Let's dive into this. Let me show you two more things, guys, and I have about 10 more minutes. Showed this earlier today, but I want to show you guys this. So here we have, you know how you typically need to comp in an alligator? Not really. But here's my alligator, and essentially what I want to do is I want to make him look more comfortable on this bench. So how you would typically do this is you'd maybe go into Liquify and start to push around those pixels, right? That's what you would do, which we know that gets really complex. Right? So it's like pushing these around. It's like liquid. It's like, I don't like how that does that. Like, that's not what I want. I want his tail to kind of go down, and here I am like smudging it like it's wet paint. I actually don't want to use Liquify. What I can do is I can go up to Edit, go down to Puppet Warp. Okay, again, this is not new, but you need to know about it. I'm just going to do two more tips, by the way. So I'm covering about, I think, 6 tips total. All right. So, oh no, Kathleen, that's a great question. Is Camera Raw an add-on? No, it's not. It comes with Adobe Photoshop CC. It actually was. It kind of is considered its own separate little app, and did start out as its own app, which is why I could think that you think it's an add-on. But the thing is, like, people, like photographers use it, but say graphic designers don't necessarily use it because they're not aware of it. So it's not an add-on. It was at one time, you could say. So yeah, Epnards, you probably would use Liquify. We'll go into Puppet Warp, by the way, right on here under Edit, selecting Puppet Warp. It's going to give me this mesh. It says, hey, you know what? I'm now a mesh. So I can jump in and say, hey, you know what? Put a pin here. Put a pin here. Put a pin here. Give me these control points. That's going to, you know, obviously give me control over moving this alligator. So I can say, hey, you know what? For this tail now, grabbing his tail, zoop. Now we can make it just kind of move down so he fits on that bench, right? We can move in his body just by any one of these control points because it understands the structure of this particular layer. I know this foot right here could probably use to go up here like that. And then let's make his head go up there. Anytime you see something move, maybe extraordinary, like a little too extraordinary or too much, you know, you can always add more pins for more control. Okay, so as I select that pin, obviously, again, we can move his head, and I can turn off the mesh, and he definitely likes it a lot more. See, he moves like a giant lizard from, you know, from the past, right? Because he is a modern-day dinosaur. Cool. Yeah, so Glenn, color lookups, totally awesome. So again, all I'm doing is, again, using Puppet Warp. It's going to save you so much. Okay, so I can adjust him accordingly, just like that. And, yeah, I can have all the fun with that I want. Keep in mind that I'm working non-destructively. So if you're not doing this, I'm noticing, I don't know, Epnards, I don't know if, you know, if you guys are using, if you're making things smart objects, but you need to, because that protects that layer and it kind of makes it its own little PSD. So you could always turn things on and off and just like protects. Yeah, so that's how you warp an alligator. How many times have you needed to warp an alligator there, Evil Charisse, huh? Right, so that's super fun. Let me actually get rid of that. So again, I could turn that before, after, turning that on and off, power of smart objects. Of course, what's he really doing? What does he really want to do? He kind of wants to lay in the sun. He doesn't mean any harm. He kind of just wants to chill and read a paper. And then there he is. After a lot of warping and manipulating, he's just hanging out, reading the paper in the park. Because that's all alligators really want. They don't want any harm, guys. So, Hare, great question. Is it possible in After Effects? The question is yes. You are exactly correct, my friend, because it actually came from After Effects. And that's what sometimes happens is something hits After Effects or Illustrator, and then like the Photoshop people are like, hey, we want that, and vice versa. So thank you so much, Glenn Seville. Smart objects rule. You gotta love them. I want to dive into a next level sort of smart objects thing that you can do. Okay. So I'm glad you like this, Simon, because I thought it was pretty fun to make. So I don't know. This little alligator's hanging out. He's got his fancy scarf on, even though it's like super sunny out. And it's, anyways. Best way to make alligator shadows is literally just paint with your brush. Is all I did. Is just use the brush. Oops. And just started painting below. Is all I've done. What you can do, excuse me, is use dodge and burn a lot, because you don't want to just add black over something. You want to make the darks darker, the lights lighter. So you want to dive into dodge and burn. Okay, so I would probably do a burn underneath his chin as I twirl this down. I was talking so much about smart objects, and not all of this is a smart object. You know, so this is one case. If I'm using dodge and burn, I actually can't do that on a smart object. But right in here, I'd come in here and say, hey, you know what? Let's burn the shadows and make them darker. Let's increase the exposure of that. And that's how you'd start to work with the shadows. See how I'm making him darker in parts? So underneath the scarf, I want to make sure that part is darker. And you guys get the idea. All right, cool. Let's move on. He should have a Florida Gator shirt on. In fact, hopefully his scarf, I should shift that so it's more orange, so it's more like Florida Gators orange. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Since I'm talking about smart objects, I think this is huge. Let me open up one more piece called, from my desktop maybe. Let's open up this. Some of you might have seen this. Thank you. So Evil Sharice, yeah. So they're non-destructive. You can always undo changes. This is something that actually might happen when it comes to smart objects, depending on where they're coming from. It actually might be looking for smart objects or library graphics that may or may not be linked, but we won't sweat that right now. So here's a design, okay? And if I break down how this was done, first off, the cool colors basically came from those lookup tables, which we've already talked about. Okay, so I can go through sort of different options that I was using for making this. But what I want to point out here, since you guys asked, all of these are smart objects. Now, let me just kind of even take a step back further because, again, Leopold's still asking about smart objects. I'm going to go to Nature. I'm going to open up, say, Illustrator, for instance. This actually was a smart object. But I can have... wait for it. I can create something in Photoshop or in Illustrator. I can create graphics. And ultimately, for these graphics that I make... Again, let's just pretend like I just made this graphic. Okay, so here it is. Let's release that clipping mask. There's a lot going on with this. There we go. Okay, so let's just say I've drawn something in Illustrator. I'm just picking this flower, right? Spent all this time on it. It's looking great. I'm saying, hey, you know what? What I'd actually like to do is this is how I would work. I would sync this to my Creative Cloud library. Dragging it over here, it's going to make this new artwork 39. Yeah, real generic. Let's call it Beautiful Flower, right? So there is my my vector shape. Could be a logo, could be anything. Now, when I'm working on this design, as I dive back into it, let's make sure we can see some of it. There it is, see? I can take this beautiful flower and drop it right in here. Okay, so it's actually linked to that original Illustrator file in my library. So I want to put this right over here, like that. Right? I'm thinking that looks pretty good. I want to actually use Puppet Warp like I did earlier because I want to manipulate this. Show mesh, so it wraps within this area a little better. Okay, so again, I'm taking an Illustrator file and now I'm warping it in Photoshop. It's not manipulating the original pixels, but I want it to fit within that area. Okay, and the great thing is this is actually linked back to my Illustrator file. So if I double click, I can come in here and obviously I can see this graphic and I can make any changes that I want to it. All right. So the reason I'm pointing this out is, not only do you end up with all of these smart objects, right? They have this cloud here in this case. These are actually library graphics. But all of these, some are missing, yes. All of these are all linked to Illustrator files. So you could argue that this is actually a non-destructive Photoshop file. So I can take this up to billboard size and it's going to print out clean because they're all referencing the Illustrator files. Yeah, Glenn, thank you. So yeah, I love the way smart objects can be linked across apps because I want to use Illustrator for some things, for say making the flowers, but I don't have Puppet Warp in Illustrator. So that's how come I jumped to Photoshop, and then I really started adding a lot to it, as you can see. The only thing you need to worry about is if you do start cleaning up your library or anything, you might get some little broken things right here. Like, see, it's looking for that grasshopper. That's easily remedied because I can relink to library graphic. Okay, it's looking for grasshopper, and I can actually just search on grasshopper because I know it's in here somewhere. I clean up my library a little too much, and that's the problem. And now you know, GRAS. Oop, let's not search Adobe Stock. Let's search all libraries. We can see it's right here, and it's actually in nature. So that's all I need to do. All right, cool. Okay, so Andreas asks about if on a smart object, let's say that you can scale them to half, and when you open Photoshop projects again, okay, so yes, so Andreas, basically if you're scaling this PSD up and down, your resolution is going to be fine, all well and good. I would just say, just be mindful if you end up modifying a library item right in here. If you start messing with this grasshopper, it's going to look for that file and it's going to want you to update it. So just be aware when you're using these library graphics that it might be linked somewhere and you might be messing with the composition. So you just got to think ahead about this stuff and you're good to go. Good to go. Is the file size smaller? That's a good question that I don't know the answer to, but I will find out now. Tracy Stevens going to bed, or you have to take off. That's cool. Yeah, so how this was created, I don't really have time to get into this, but maybe this goes under compositing. But what I did is I've literally taken, it's actually a skull originally, and I used Puppet Warp to start to manipulate all of these various, see Puppet Warp, to sort of make sure everything fits within its appropriate area. So I started wrapping these flowers around the eyes using Puppet Warp, and originally they're Illustrator files. Okay, so you guys kind of get the idea. The big thing is these are all, smart objects are all vectors, which is great. I can make it any size that I want, and it's going to be beautiful and good to go there. Oh, by the way, it's also on my laptop. All right, there's an original. I'll let you guys go now. As I play with this some more, you guys kind of get the idea. That's all I have for you. I've gone for 40 minutes. Can you link to things outside the library? Yes, you can, Peter, just so you know. And this is a way we used to do things before Creative Cloud libraries, but you could always place a linked file. Okay, so you could place a linked file that's maybe on your desktop. Or what you could do is literally, this is another way of doing it. So when you are in Illustrator and you created what you wanted, if you copy it and then you paste it in, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to paste it as a smart object? Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, hey, guess what? Add it to my current library as well. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. Paste as a smart object, add it to your current library. Again, you don't have to even drag it to your library. You can do copy and paste. When you copy and paste it, it doesn't have to be, no, it doesn't have to be a smart object. So yeah. When I bring it in here, if I say smart object, by the way, I'll just paste it in. It's going to be huge grasshopper. I don't even know what layer it's on. Oh, it's clear down here. Let's bring it up. There's our huge grasshopper. So it's a smart object. So when I double click on it, it's going to open. in Illustrator. It's just not a library item is the case there. Cool. All right, guys, that's it. To use Puppet Warp, it does not have to be a smart object. Nor does it even have to be a shape. Like, you could do it with text. You can use Puppet Warp on text if you want to. So, yeah, Jess, I could potentially do this live for, maybe do live designing sometime of this design. And I also heard the request of doing compositing. Happy to do some compositing too. I think that's a great idea. So noted. Just wanted to show you just some quick things that you guys can do to make your life easier. Whether you're manipulating pixels based on a shape, touching up photos, because everybody needs to do that, extracting content or cutting out images, which is huge. We could spend a whole hour on that. And then also kind of working with fonts, which is where we started right back here. So now you guys know. Yeah, thank you. Hey, Evil Sharice, good call. So check out the Adobe Twitch channel. So twitch.tv/Adobe. There's probably somebody creating there right now. So check that out. And yeah, I just got to say thank you guys so much for joining me on this fine Monday. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to let you go, Jess. Thank you to the mods as well. Yes. Thank you, Chris, and everyone else. You guys have a wonderful day. Be nice to one another, huh? Go create pretty graphics. Make the world at least a prettier place and a kinder place. All right. Omar's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. All right. Last questions. So you could have two files and or two layers and have one warped and one not warped. So maybe there's two separate layers. We can talk about website designs and everything like that. So keep the comments coming. I'm going to read those, but I'm going to be respectful of your time and let you guys go. Have a wonderful Monday. Thank you so much for watching.